무엇이 되기 위해 태어나 자라서 자란 김에 주어진 것들 사이에 피어나버린 꽃 존재가 빚어낸 존재의 이유는 뭘까 하나로부터 뻗은 가지와 똑같은 우주의 숲 그토록 검은 눈물로 지키려 했던 보물과 안녕을 정해버린 마음을 이해할 날이 올까 불씨는 이어져 단 페이지가 되어 어리숙하게 남아 그대의 영혼을 잊겠지만 다만 한순간이라도 당신을 위해 살아 누구도 그 이유 잊지 않아 오로지 그대로만 슬픈 아니 저른 그림자 한번이라도 함께하게 해줘 기쁨 하늘에 차오른 눈동자 등대가 되어 반짝일 때 그대를 바라보고 싶어 지키려 죄송해서 어리숙하게 남아지 내 그때는 모르고 조금은 알게 된 세상의 순리란 것들 잔혹한 동화의 주인공은 그대 하나라니니 슬픈 고난이 차오른 그림자 한번이라도 함께하게 해줘 기쁨 하늘에 차오른 눈동자 등대가 되어 반짝일 때 그대를 바라보고 싶어 기쁨 하늘에 차오른 눈동자 등대가 되어 반짝일 때 그대를 바라보고 싶어
Good evening and welcome back to Keskalokil, my dwarven fortress by the sea, or in this particular view under the sea, because we have been mining and we have a lovely big cluster of magnetite that we've mined out, and then we headed off following these tetrahedrite and hematite veins, which was all well and good, except that there's quite a lot of aquifer on the layer above, and so even though the walls here are impervious, the ceiling of these tunnels is very much not impervious and is pouring water into these tunnels. So if we look at the water depth indicators, it's like 4 and 5 up at the distant end of those tunnels. So my kind of plan last time was to try to move the tetrahedrite out faster by use of a minecart system. And like, I'm still kind of in favour of minecarts because they're fun. But I think actually what I need is, given that we have flooding problems in lots of places in the mines. I was going to say in this fortress, but that's actually not true. Only the mines are flooded, and they're not badly flooded. But like, we've got this area which floods largely because I dug it out in order to get the flooding in this area under control. I recently found another kaolinite cluster down here, but it's flooding at this end. I've kind of walled off the worst of the flooding, but it's still happening a bit. And it feels to me like I could do with like an actual drainage system, which would probably mean some kind of a setup below all of the existing mine workings to collect the water, and then a pump stack to pump it out. I kind of feel into this river, because I think around here is probably a good place to put the pump stack. And then in particular, that could fairly easily drain these two corridors. And if we made the pump stack reasonably tall, we could drain other things as well. So that feels like a good plan to me. And we could then have it powered by water wheels on this river. And I think discharging into the river is safe and won't like randomly cause the sea to overflow or anything like that. So it's quite tempting to do some more civil engineering so that we can get the water out of the way. Well, yeah, I think it's fine because the sea is connected, runs off the map. So if you raise the sea level above 7/7, i.e. into this square, into this cell, it should immediately fall off the edges of the map, and thus it will only very briefly be above there. And indeed, the drainage system, I was going to say the drainage system from the swimming pool didn't cause any trouble. The drainage system from the swimming pool, of course, caused the water to disappear. But when we pumped it out, it similarly didn't cause any trouble. So I'm fairly confident that the river will work the same way. I'd be a bit more dubious about this river because its connection to the sea seems a bit uncertain. Like, there isn't actually a connection to the sea. And shale is not permeable. Not that Dwarf Fortress would adequately emulate that anyway. So like maybe it's like the Heacham River, but I rather suspect that river doesn't work properly, and if it has any flow, the water can't really escape. So I would be dubious about pumping water into that river. But this river does connect properly to the sea, so I'm fairly confident it will be fine. Ben carefully checks, yes, it really does connect to the sea. Doesn't even rely on a diagonal to do it. So like I think it should be safe to try to pump water out into that sea. So it's quite tempting to start setting up water wheels already. So actually let's first, so yeah, if we set up a pump here, then we could build water wheels going to a gear assembly that then powers the top pump of the stack. Because I think we need a bit of clearance between the water wheels and the pump. And then everything else would be like we need to make sure we have a hole for the pump power to connect up. I can remember how to build pump stacks really. Oh, but the next layer down, we don't want to accidentally end up trying to drain the river into the river. That would not be helpful. So yes, the next layer, probably actually we set up this pump. Do we set it up a little way back? No, maybe we add an extra little right angle or something to move the pump stack slightly away from the river, so we don't try to put the pump stack through the river. So let's start by constructing. Can we construct a pump? I rather suspect we haven't got enough bits for making pumps at the moment. So we want it to reverse the liquid flow direction owing to terrible things.
Reverse the direction of the liquid flow, please.
Right, we have no screws and no pipes. Right. And that's fishery, that will not help me. Make an enormous wooden corkscrew, make a wooden pipe. Actually, no, sod that. Well, actually, we'll leave that to run, but make lots of wooden corkscrews and lots of wooden pipes. Also make I think those are built directly, aren't they? Yes, we might need some mechanisms as well, though probably not many. Let's assume we've got enough mechanisms. So I am also trying to improve the minecart system so that we can deliver materials reasonably rapidly to the forges anyway, because that seems like a good plan. Though admittedly this means that the entire population of the fortress is now coming down here in order to carve tracks in the floor. Also, perhaps I should get dwarves to ride the minecart rather than pushing it, because that way they would end up in a useful location afterwards. A short delay while the autosave happens. What are these messages? Various people have changed roles, yes. So then my plan was we would run the minecarts along here and people would generally walk along these corridors, and thus they would not end up getting run down by minecarts very often. All right.
Moving about horizontally on the sort of screen.
Dwarves.
Okay.
They're running along this corridor, carving it into minecart tracks mostly.
Right.
So
Not yet minecarts.
no,
Good.
we're not going to have that many minecarts.
How can you have total chaos minecart levels without total...
Indeed, my current plan is to have essentially one minecart that used to move stone around. Right, we just appear to have a slight problem of damp walls that need careful digging, which of course is the other problem I'm dealing with.
What's your problems on such diverse elephants as?
Oh, we have a bauxite crown. Thank you. It takes me to the bauxite crown, doesn't it? Which isn't actually the best button. Its name is Glory's Realms. This is a bauxite crown. All crafts dwarfship is of the highest quality. Don't we want to sell crowns? We can probably buy the entire dwarven caravan with this. Oh no, we can't. We'll get about 10,000 for it, but yeah.
It says value 5,000.
Yes, but they're willing to pay over the odds for crowns this year. That's why I've been making so many beeswax crowns. And bone crowns, because we kept having to slaughter animals, and so that gave me a surplus of bones which I could turn into crowns. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with rectangular bauxite cabochons, decorated with cow bone and encircled with bands of alpaca wool. This object menaces with spikes of bituminous coal and yak bone. On the item is an image of Ume Moistness Dissolve, the human, and an elf in rope reed. The elf is striking down Ume Moistness Dissolve. The artwork relates to the killing of the human Ume Moistness Dissolve by an elf in the Sea of Mines in the early spring of 101 during Nashra Mook, the attack of seizures. On the item is an image of Errors in the Goblin, the native silver-bound codex, in birch. On the item is an image of smooth pebbles in rope reed. On the item is an image of Dust Taints the Infinite Doom, the dwarf bone grate in pearwood.
How do you fit all this on the ground?
Very small. Yes, there is apparently a book entitled Errors in the Goblin.
Right.
Anyway, back to trying to organise these corridors because we are suffering from damp rock everywhere. Which does lead to some rather inefficient digging. Hopefully won't actually lead to any. I don't think we know who wrote Errors in the Goblin. We could try to acquire a copy, but we don't have interlibrary loan in this world. Actually, if I go... I don't know that I have a search mechanism, unfortunately. So I can choose...
Yes, interlibrary loan by Kiers.
Like, I can get a list of all of the artefacts in the universe.
This is becoming very unpleasant.
Oh, right, if I do it like this, then then it doesn't blat the page around. I mean, I presume I should know about it, given we have a record of it. Okay, that's scrolling by more than a page each time I move the thumb, isn't it? So that's not very helpful. Yell if you happen to spot it. Judson says, the video codec certainly appreciates the page not being blatted around. Yes, I expect something that involves very rapid redraws of the full screen with something incredibly complicated. Does not make whatever the hell codecs we're currently using happy. I don't think the yellow makes much difference.
Concerning competition, secret mountain halls, a world of surveying, modesty and slop.
It's a novel entitled The Modesty and Slop. Right. Has no particular subject.
Right. The sun sets on muck.
Yes, it's another novel.
Beyond the star. Start your day with the dwarf. I'm sorry, with the dwarf.
Concerns the authoring of Common Sense Mountain Halls by the dwarf Olin Youthink. I think that's Youth Inc., not You Think.
Who knows? Soldiers, the past will tell. Understanding the cavernous society.
Concerns the removal of the seat of power of the human Cassot throat evened from the entrancing sparks of the cavernous society. In cream riddled in the year 75.
Very weird dwarves.
I think that might have been a human. Errors in the Goblin. Here's Errors in the Goblin. Right.
Goblin,
25-page essay authored by Aslot Snug, who I suspect is indeed Poison Wires, concerns the denial of apprenticeship of the Goblin Gas Hex Colours under the Goblin Aslot Poison Wires in Loot Play in the midsummer of 79. The writing bubbles over with cheerfulness. So apparently Aslot Poison Wires, having to refused an apprenticeship by Zusgas Hex Colours, then wrote a cheerful 25-page essay on the subject.
Overall, praise is possible. Surveying staff might help. The mystery of the origin of rainfall.
Yes.
Pines Mountains understood. Well, that should obviously be Pines Martin understood. White Jade Bound Codex. Ooh, Tarosh.
So yes, there are lots of books out there.
Including, presumably, something in the Necromancer's Tower.
Yes. I can't remember where those appear in the list. I have found them.
Give me Ford right. The Fated Burial. The Mountain Halls in Theory.
All right, the Fated Burial is not actually a book. It's a tetrahedrite slab that just reads "The Secrets of Life and Death," which rather confusingly appears to be how you get learn the secrets of life and death.
Oh yes, to become a necrosuitor.
Anyway, I think, nonetheless, even though we have drawn a picture of this book, we don't actually need a copy of a 25-page essay on why I refused your application for apprenticeship.
Danger of perplexing. Summer Witch is the thief of theatres.
Presumably that's a giant rat bone shield. Not everything is a book.
But there's just the Infinite Doom at the top as well.
Yes, indeed, that's what we just made. Oh no, that's not just what we just made. That's the thing that was.
Another thing.
Oh right, that's the thing that one of our local families claims belongs to them, possibly because the bones it's made from are their bones. I don't know. So we could send a mission to try to recover Dust Taints the Infinite Doom. All right, I think this is putting up the ones that we believe should be ours at the top.
Or are yours? Or
Well, that someone locally claims are theirs. Like the goblins turned up and claimed several things that we just made were theirs. Well, one thing we just made was theirs, and we gave it to them because otherwise we would probably have lost more feet. We've sorted the feet now, so next time the goblins turn up, they might be surprised. Anyway, stop poking around that map, Ben. You're trying to organise like things that are mine carts and pumps. Right, so now we can extend that minecart track. To say there. Whee! All right, I think that stray kitten may not have known not to be in the way of the minecart. I hope they didn't get hurt by it. Looks fine.
I'm mildly traumatised.
Oh dear, one of my horses has starved to death.
Well,
We have a masterpiece enormous hazelwood corkscrew though.
mute people.
That was a small elephant. That was a small trumpeting noise.
And a masterpiece oaken pipe section, which means I think I did say we'd probably have lost more feet. Like, the problem was that my dwarves didn't have their steel boots on, and so were rather liable to have their feet hacked off by the marauding goblins if I let the goblins maraud. So I denied the goblins that opportunity, and have now sorted out boots for everyone, I think, more or less. Admittedly, they could do with putting them on, but like they've at least all chosen their boots. I assume the other two squads really don't have equipment problems. Yes, that all looks good. The last squad, well, probably needs to organise itself into actually doing some fighting, and that will help. Not fighting, sparring, training. So we could now actually try building a pump up here. Again. Right, that looks like a good place to put a pump. So then we should probably build some water wheels. Can't remember how much power you get from a water wheel, but we could probably safely build enough to fill the river if we muck around building a platform out over the river as well. So I think we need like something for the water wheels to connect to. So we should probably put a gear assembly on the edge of the river. Like there. And then we could build a water wheel. So then I suppose we may as well, if we build, build a platform across the river there, with the idea being that it may as well be permanent actually. So dwarves are setting to work building the oh, hang on, you idiot, Ben. You're already building this pump stack wrong because you need to make a hole underneath it for it to be... Oh, no, but I don't, because this one's... I'm not going to build a pump directly below it, so I don't need a hole directly beneath it. All future pumps will need holes beneath them. Here, though, we just want to make a channel on the input side of that pump stack, so that then on the next level down we can start building actual pumps. That probably suggests I should start by building a staircase parallel to but a little way away from the pump stack. So if that's going to be the discharge side of the second pump will be on those two squares. I mean the actual mechanism of it. And so we should, I think, run a staircase down there. Let's run it to one floor below the lowest point we currently have. Right, so we now have a gear assembly in place, and so we can hang some water wheels off it. All right, we can't. Oh, we can't build that one until we've yes, until we've actually built that bridge for So I think that means all of the track, that track is now laid. So I think what I should do now, wait for the next time the minecart gets sent eastwards, and then arrange to move the minecart so we can then drain that pile of tetrahedrite into, actually we should put a tetrahedrite stockpile down there, shouldn't we? Or rather a generic stone stockpile. Stone stockpile, but nothing is ever put in there except by minecart. And we then want to build a minecart stop next to it so that it should be maximum friction, dump southwards there. So that then the minecart can will stop there on arrival. Also, while we're moving things, we're going to want a stop here, right? A cart stop there temporarily, I think. So that should not dump and maximum friction. Right. There goes the minecart. Clonk. Right, now let us remove those two stops. I presume I can't relocate them. That allows me to change items, link it and set conditions and name it, but none of those is of any use because what I really want to do is to change the two stops on this cart run to the two stops on the rightmost leg. No, that's wrong. I want to add a new stop. It can at least be the same official job. We will take any stone that happens to be in the linked stockpile. We will link have it from that stockpile. The conditions, oops, done. Conditions will be depart eastwards. I think we should have ride, so the dwarves go with the stockpile. What's that I heart button, I wonder? All right, full of desired items versus full of any items. Well, I mean, it doesn't. If it ends up full of the wrong things, then it may as well still be sent off because it's not like anyone's going to take things out of it. Add another stop. Oops, no, done on that conditions of that one. And another stop which should be there. A stop is really a start. As in it's a place where things happen. We nothing happens with items. There is no linked stockpile, and as soon as we arrive there, we ride north immediately. Right, so now, all being well, that minecart will be shifted onto that track stop. We really need someone to actually build these track stops, or excitement might ensue.
Possibly also venture.
Yes. Okay, I'm slightly concerned by the fact that we appear to be collecting tetrahedrite from completely the wrong places. Maybe it's because the tetrahedrite we're collecting is like accessible. I mean, to be fair, most of this is magnetite now. Let me, in that case, amend this stockpile to be a magnetite stockpile primarily. And turn off tetrahedrite for now. Because I think someone here is lugging tetrahedrite from the far side of the mine workings, which is not helpful.
You drop tetrahedrite on the floor and someone treads on it. It'll be very annoying.
I have struck white chalcedony, have I?
Clunk.
Yes. Right, so we've now built most of that bridge, so we can now build more water wheels. Let's just check if the... Slightly concerned by the fact that the water wheel has no power. Well, let's continue building them. Maybe the edge water wheels are special or something. Like, if it turns out water wheels don't work, then we'll have to replace them with windmills. Well, let's quickly mine the gems we found while we're there, and maybe the iron ore as well, if it's not moist. Yeah, I think growing attached to a steel battle axe is an excellent plan. Right, so now we can, with slightly higher priority, start digging out a space for our pump stack. So this is essentially something with enough room for the pump in the middle and columns on either side that the water passes between pumps through. And access to the staircase, where we will build a door to prevent water getting in there while the pumps are operating. least that kind of thing is the theory. I think my plan here is to get the pumps working before I even think about introducing any water to the system. What, you mind? Oh, right, you then decided to go. Oh, are we getting? No, we're not getting complaints about dampness, are we? And we'll probably find the peat is damp. It appears not to be damp even. Well, that's generous. Like, if our pump stack doesn't leak, that will be pleasant. They do seem to be digging out the pump stack in a very odd order. I don't quite know why you're improving a shoe. You're not meant to be improving shoes. Yes. Right, let's now do some like mining of actual minerals. Right, we don't seem to have a water problem down here. But conveniently, if we're going to end up digging out a great big hematite seam anyway, yeah, but I don't want to flood the hematite seam with water, vein with water, do I? Because it will be full of hematite. I'll need to carefully wall off the bits that are still full of hematite. Pause briefly while we find some more gems. At least gems get automatically cleared out. All right, the caravan's turned up. Excellent. And the outpost liaison has arrived. And now we get back into hematite. I don't really consider jet something you strike. It's not that exciting. Right, let's build the remaining nest boxes now that they've been provided for. I presume we're now out of nest boxes. Yes, right, that's fine. I think we have adequate nest boxes. Plenty of them are still unclaimed. General rule, any very nearby finished goods bins contain rubbish. We also want any high value finished goods bins because they probably contain something we're actually trying to sell. Of course, I have discovered I can actually inspect finished goods bins. And I should do that rather than just going, well, this probably contains useful things. Yeah, that contains crowns. Appears to that contains a few crowns. Let's bring it up here temporarily. That one does not contain any crowns. That one is entirely full of bill and goblets, which is probably good for giving the dwarf something to drink from. Let's just check the finished goods bins towards the top and check they're full of things we do want to sell. We don't actually particularly want to sell crutches to you at the moment. We'll sell them if we have to.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but Claire has a question.
Claire has a question. Should I be reading your stream title in Homer Simpson's voice? Yes.
What is the stream title?
It says, trains Urist or drains?
Yes, I think that's obviously deliberate.
That one is full of crutches. And yet we still have a one-legged dwarf who refuses to use a crutch.
I think you must be beyond all hop.
So does this one actually contain any crowns?
Greatest virtue.
That appears to contain other beeswax objects. That one contains jugs, full jugs, which obviously we should try to sell anyway. And other beeswax crafts. That one contains old clothes. That one contains honeycomb. Well, that's not very useful. Is it entirely full of honeycomb? Yes, it's entirely full of honeycomb. Right, we don't need that one. That one, on the other hand, is full of crowns. That's the one we mostly want. That one is old socks again, so we want that one as well. Apparently he's got 4,000 worth of old socks. Yes, because it has some astonishing shoes, apparently. Look at those shoes, 843. Sadly, I can't inspect them from here.
I keep wanting to pronounce the currency symbol.
Well, that's reasonable. We don't want old socks, that's why we're trying to give them to the traders. This is me trying to find the things I want to get rid of. Apparently this is some astonishingly valuable cloth in this bin. Well, it's not. It does contain 282 items. Maybe that's why it's astonishingly valuable. Right, I think that's another bin full of honeycomb. Zillions of bins full of coke. Right, I think that's all the items I actually want to bring up here. I mean, the caravan hasn't actually reached the trade depot yet. Oh yes, at some point we should still get the... Why is there a crown lying around out there? And a pair of leather trousers? Maybe I should see if there are any loose crowns I should fetch. Apparently not. Oh, actually, select crowns. Okay, there is actually only that one. Right, fetch the crown. Right, are these water wheels working? No, I think there's something wrong with these water wheels. Maybe the river isn't flowing properly or something. I think given that we know that wind power works in this place, I'm going to dismantle the water wheels and we'll build windmills instead. They'll be slightly more fun anyway. So ask our broker to come to the depot so we can keep an eye on what's going on. Slightly worried that one of those water wheels is just going to fall into the river now. Spleesh! Yes, the middle water wheel just collapsed into the river. Apparently causing all of the wood it was made of to vanish, because it isn't like at the bottom of the river.
I was going to say, has it accidentally damned the river, but no, maybe not.
No. I think the river is also not flowing. Anyway, so let's start building windmills then.
The shiny box in the top left labelled diplomacy makes me wonder whether in previous phases of the game it said retribution and anticipation.
Wonder how many windmills we need. Let's construct 2 windmills for now and see if they join up properly. Empowered to elevate this land. Given us some information, and then we need to make requests, which we don't want to do yet because we should actually see what we can trade from the current caravan first. Still unloading, allegedly. Possible, of course, that like last time they will never finish unloading. So then we want, in order to make things look less ugly, let us, there's a should be a thing for remove ramps and staircases. Designates all stairwells, right, so does that mean we can do that? Yes. And then go downwards there, and thus downwards there, downwards there, and there, and there, and there, and this is slightly complicated. There. And not there, because that's the that's the bottom, and apparently an enormous great stretch of I don't think it's a brook, no. Right, and meanwhile, let's wall in this area a bit. Oh, I'm going to need some doors, aren't I? I should build some doors. Why have we got magnetite blocks? Who's making blocks out of magnetite? Don't you have better things to do with it? Right. Dig through there instead to give access to that one tiny bit of gem. So what are we going to do here then? I think we want to just go, look, that was a lovely hematite vein, but actually we don't want it there, don't want it connected to the pump system. And instead we want to like wall off dig out there so that we can connect the hematite vein to the staircase, and then we'll wall off where the pump is going to be. Yeah, all of the things that Jacob has just quoted from the wiki about how water wheels work, I think I'd satisfied all of that. Like, the river should be flowing. It has empty tiles below it. It was built one Z level above the river. I'm just going to assume that today is not a day for water wheels. Right, we've built lots of leather trousers. Do we need more leather trousers? It looks like we need more of all kinds of clothes. There is a finished goods bin there. Oops. It's got some trousers and some shoes in, so let's prioritise making shirts. And see what worn out, pick random dwarves and see what they're wearing that needs replacing. But
why is this fortress so much more trouser obsessed than all the previous ones? That I seem to recall people of magma rather than trousers.
Possibly because I just bought clothes, I can't remember, or possibly I just allow people to be unhappy about the state of their clothes. This time I'm actually trying to make adequate clothes for all my dwarves. If we aren't actually making anything out of cloth, let's start making something out of cloth. Pick a dwarf, see what they're wearing that's worn out. Or at least worn. Right, I think we need more socks. Right, so now we actually have power supplied to that pump. Good. It's not doing anything useful because there's no water coming into it, but that's fine. And the two windmills there are joined together mechanically, so they're both now providing power to that single pump. Excellent, and we can just add more windmills along here as we need them. So yes, we will indeed have a proper wind farm there. Like, there's a single windmill on top of the swimming pool. They're still unloading. I'm worried. That the dwarven traders are again not actually going to trade with me. Right, so then the next pump needs a hole under its solid side, which is this one. So the same way that we made those previous holes. So we essentially have each level alternating solid and perforated floors, which I think is how you make a pump stack that works properly. Right, so now we can wall in this layer to look like the other layers. And we're going to need some doors, and I bet we don't have enough doors in stock. One, two, three, four. Maybe we have. I don't actually know how many Z levels I'm going down here. I kept going until it seemed appropriate to stop. So I need 2 more doors. Well, let's just build a batch of rock doors. Justin says, does this setup have any risk of pumping the river into your fortress? As yet, no, because it's not actually draining anything. Also, if it were going to, it would already be doing so, because that pump, if I've got this right, is already powered. And the pump is, you will observe, not flooding anything with water. So I'm being slightly cautious here, and it wouldn't flood the fortress anyway, because this staircase, the space for the pump stack is as yet unconnected to anything else. Part of my design principle for this thing was build it in such a way that it might be reasonably safe during construction. I mean, maybe maybe I have to go through the diplomacy before they'll finish unloading. That seems kind of weird, but maybe I should do it anyway. Like last time we did things like accidentally only ordering cheese. Still better than not getting anything at all. We would like steel. We're reasonably well off for, well, pretty much everything else actually. I think let them bring what they will bring. They want legwear. They're still unloading. Fine, we're building a pump stack, maybe, if I can get it right. So now let us build a pump here which wants to pump northwards. Which means we do that. All right, but they're all going to be hanging pump stacks, which means we actually need to start by assembling them from above. In particular, thus, we need a hole in the floor here to allow us to get a power supply in. And we want to, oops, dismantle that gear assembly because it's in the wrong place. And we'll instead we want to build a drive shaft then, I think just running there. And all being well, that will be enough to power the top end of the pump stack. Still busy making masterpiece crowns. Might be a bit late for that now. Keskalokil and the surrounding lands have been made a duchy, which means we've got a duke.
That just means the same person who was Baron is now Duke,
Yes,
but wants more stuff.
but now needs a better dining room and a better throne room and a better bedroom. And even more furniture. Right, so now we have a drive shaft here, which is driving. So now we should be able to construct a gear assembly at the top of the pump stack. So you can see that's consuming, that drive shaft is consuming 2 power. So then we'll need another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to just push us up to 82 power requirement, 92 power rather, because there's that one as well. So we're going to need a third windmill. If we're going to power the whole pump stack. Right, building the gear assembly. I should go downstairs and see what's going on with that minecart, shouldn't I? Minecart's still in the wrong place. Which is the minecart that's there? That's the apricot wood minecart. Maybe the fact that it's been moved off the route means that it's not operating properly anymore. And I need to re-add it. Yes, that might be better. I think because I removed the stop the minecart was at from this route, the minecart got removed from the route as well. So maybe this will help. Is someone scheduled to, yes, well, to place the vehicle on the track at least? Admittedly from rather a long way up, but still. Oh, there's a cloud of miasma there. We don't like that. We'll go and fix that in a moment once we've watched the minecart being set up. Then you're just going to clear off and do something else rather than like loading it. Apparently so. Anyone actually scheduled to fill the minecart with stuff? Yes. A child. Have all the merchants made it to the depot? I'll have a look. I'm just busy watching this child loading the minecart. Don't think it should matter very much that it's a child doing it because, like, probably won't take very long. Only they're now playing on the minecart. Well, I'm sure that's very safe. Right, let's have a look at the actually, let's see how the minecart is full. So now someone else has apparently been scheduled for actually doing something with the minecart. Dwarven job scheduling is not the best.
Merchant scheduling also.
But this should involve the doctor actually riding the minecart. Whee! But how far will the minecart go before it runs out of speed? That's the thing I don't yet know. Ka-chunk! Adequately far. And now in that square there's a lot of tetrahedrite. Right. Oh yes, there's an ex-horse. Oh, oh yes, the horse died, didn't it? Dump the horse. Right, so the minecart seems to work correctly. Oh, and there's someone riding the minecart back again, and wow, I think a kitten just dodged the minecart. Right, well, I'm sure this is fun. Do the dwarves enjoy doing that? Well, I mean, maybe you can claim that you feel satisfied at work by riding a minecart around. Justin asks, why is the ex-horse splattered with royal jelly? That's a very good question. I have no idea. Sorry. I appreciate that we do have a bit of a royal jelly problem, but I have no idea why this dead horse is covered in it. Right, let's see where all of our traders are then. So we have a total of 6 merchants. That one appears to be more or less at the trade depot. That one appears to be more or less at the trade depot. Same with that one. That one. That one. I think all of the merchants are at the trade depot. I might even be able to demonstrate that. Right, yeah, we can't see them there, can we? No. 3 merchants on that square. Horse on that square. The other 3 merchants are here, which is not actually in the trade depot. It is true that 3 of the merchants seem to be on their wagon and not in the trade depot, which might be of significance. Oh look, someone's left a shirt blocking a doorway. That one somehow got suspended. Have we got a couple more doors available now? No. How inconvenient. I seem to remember somewhere in the wiki there's an explanation of how to get all of your windmills in sync. They look better if they're in sync. Just that like windmills randomly, out of sync windmills just don't look so good. Right, let's see if we can build a pump on this layer now. Because now it should be able to hang off that gear assembly on the floor above. No, not constructions. Machines. So it wants to pump northwards, so we set the arrows to point south. Is it that square we need to click on? I don't know. I'll probably build it backwards the first time. No, that's fine, right. So then, and I think we have to build them one, well we can build, no, don't build them from both ends, you'll end up with them out of phase in the middle. So now our pumping system has 120 power available and 17 in use. Yeah, the 3 merchants are still in on that wagon. Is there something about the fact that there's this hatch, this floor hatch right next to it, that they're like weirdly parked on the floor hatch? Maybe that means that they can't fully unload or something. Seb suggests, are they stuck on there with royal jelly? I don't think so. maybe we should... I mean, but the floor hatch, like, can mostly be left closed. Wondering if I should make another entrance to the fortress, that temporarily at least. Or put walls around the floor hatch so people can't try to park on it. Let's build a new temporary entrance. A little bit... that's underneath the wagon as well. There. And then see if maybe sealing the floor hatch helps. We should probably make some more soap, shouldn't we? How are we off for supplies of the things needed to make soap, I wonder? We have no spare oil, and we have no spare lye. Right, let's go for... We probably need to make a bit more ash first. How are we off for rock nut paste? I think I've tried not to end up using it for cooking it. So we have plenty of rock nut paste, so we could then press 10 liquid from paste in order to get ourselves some rock nut oil to make some soap from. 10 feels a little stingy, actually. Let's go for... Oops. Go for trying to make 20 soap. That's tetrahedrite stockpile. It only needs one more load of things to be put into it, taken off it. That load is now on its way. Ka-chunk. Whee! I think it might go a bit faster when it's unloaded. Also, it goes a bit faster north-south because of the differing aspect ratios. Right, so that pump, is that pump powered? It is! Right. So now we can build a pump here. So that one pumps north, which means this one wants to pump south, which means the default is correct. I think we click on the solid ground, no access. Right. I think we actually have to be able to get at that square, which we of course can't. Right, so we need to do more mining and make more doors. Then we're going to discover a magnetite seam or something, a vein or something, and yes, this minecart seems quite fun and seems to work. No one has been killed by it yet, which is doing probably better than your typical ballista. Though the filling process seems a bit inefficient. We did have it suggested that I could maybe use minecarts as a means of... the fun thing is that children start filling the minecart and then sit around playing. Jutton points out that we have books about surveying staffs, and it does rather look like dwarves are very good at making nearly perfectly level tracks for minecarts over large areas without line of sight. So I think once this minecart is filled, which admittedly does seem to be the limiting factor here, even when it's being filled from a stockpile 1 square away, like getting the dwarves to the stockpile and not having them do it all faffily. The merchants will be leaving soon. Right, well, let's see if they'll talk to me. They still think they're unloading. Right, let's just try, in case it helps, locking that floor hatch. I mean, I could try to dismantle the floor hatch, I suppose, and build a floor in its place. Go on, let's try it. We have another access to the fortress after all. I mean, it's via the cemetery, but... no. Now let's see if we can construct... no, I can't construct a floor underneath there at the moment. Oh, because the floor hatch hasn't fully been deconstructed yet. Patience, patience. Right. Let's just use some nearby logs. Right, there's now a proper floor underneath that wagon in case that helps the wagon to operate correctly. But the merchants are still standing in the wrong square, which is not hopeful. They're not suddenly busying themselves unloading. So I think the merchants are still broken. Now, maybe this is because of that floor hatch that was underneath them. Maybe it was something else. How's the minecart system going? Right, so that stockpile is now empty. Let us abolish that stockpile, remove the 2 track stops next to it. And lay minecart track across the gap. Then also adjust that so that the filling location is back on that track stop there. How do I reorder the... I suppose it doesn't matter, it's cyclic. I think that should be vaguely organised, though I think also perhaps I should relocate that. Okay, you're wandering off with the minecart for no very good reason. Right, and the track stop in the middle of the minecart route is removed, so now we get to see if it's actually possible to ride the minecart all the way to the end, or if you'll run out of oomph and we're going to need to start powering the minecart with windmills. Slowing down, but it does make it. Good. Right, I think we should actually repaint that stockpile a bit. I think that stockpile should not contain, as I recall, it currently contains all of that area. I think it should, though, contain those squares and those squares, which are, after all, adjacent to the minecart. Anyway, so we've got the second pump in place. It is powered. We should attempt to construct more doors, though. Oh, we don't have enough doors. Do we still have a job scheduled to make doors? I think I started a door making job. Can't see it in the list. Well, let's make some doors then. Doors aren't urgent. I'd like to have some doors in place before we... Oops. There. That was the wrong button, apparently. Right, well, the merchants have managed to set off again, despite their difficulties unloading. Yeah, I don't think they got tangled up with one another. They all made it to the edge of the trade depot. So I think we can build the pumps, even if we're still waiting for the doors to be constructed.
So what do you
sell them to the humans. I should probably try to make contact with the elves. Maybe they'd like some crowns. So let's see. That one has to pump northwards, which means that one has to pump southwards, which means we need to press that button. Still no access. Don't understand that. Am I doing something wrong there then? So, sorry, that one's pumping northwards, which means that one's pumping southwards, which means we want it to be, that thing to be pointing north. Okay, that clicking on the empty square appeared to work. Well, we'll find out whether that's in the right place. Yes, that's okay, that's correct. So we click the empty square to build the pump. But we can't, unfortunately, then just go down a floor and build the next one, I think. Oh, maybe we can. No, I just built that one backwards. That's why I was allowed to build that. So that one wants to be pumping northwards, which means we need to select that. Oh no, that's still... It seems to be quite happy for me to build all of them at once, which I'm not going to complain about. Right. Oh, on the subject of things in places they should not be, I found the head of the goblin thief. It's here, in a tree. It's a lot more visible now that it's autumn and the leaves have all gone brown. So possibly we should try to work out how to get it out of the tree. We could like build a staircase up to it maybe?
Is it causing a problem?
Well, it should be on a spike. I mean, okay, we can't put it on a spike. It should be on a pedestal. Like, it's just wrong to randomly leave goblin heads in trees.
Yes, mute.
I mean, we could stop making crowns, but like it seems to be traditional now. Like, if they're not going to buy the things we make, well, I mean, maybe we could switch to making trousers. Let's assume there aren't many migrants. I can't immediately find them. Okay, there's one. I think the migrants arrived while I was busy faffing with other things. Looks like our meadery can just about keep up with the dwarves drinking. So is anyone... Right, there are lots of screw pumps, nominally at least, under construction. I'm not sure if this will work, because unless they get built in the correct order, there's a danger that all the lower ones will just collapse immediately. But like, I scheduled them in a sensible order, so it might be okay. So, wagons park. I need a parking space of 3x4 adjacent to the depot. Yes, but I think they were parking on top of my floor hatch. So I wonder if the problem was that floor hatch. Incidentally, they've left an enormous pile of stuff behind. I think they ended up unloading in the wrong place. Or at least there is an enormous pile of stuff. I assume that's stuff that they've just brought here. Well, kind of profit, in that we didn't spend anything on it. We should construct those those cages and let the animals out and stick them into the... it's also... Oh, right, we are in the correct state there. I think that's an untamed Kia. We'll keep that in its cage. Until, like, I actually install a version where animal training works and doesn't cause an immediate crash. I think some of my dwarves have been unwell while coming out to build the pump stack. There's a string of vomit all across the desert here. I think they don't like having to come out in the sunshine. Okay, we appear to have a silk cloth problem. Let's try to arrange that we have other tasks. Unless oh, right there, the silk sock job is working. But let's pick some other item of clothing that we can make. Let's make some gloves as well. we should see if there are more birds we can shift down here. Do not put the goblin thief in the eggery. Well, okay, almost all of those pumps are in the right places, I think. And are powered. Except this bottom one, which is clearly wrong. If we cancel the removal. It is actually powered, it's just in the wrong place. Is it the right way round? Was the right way round, I just put it in the wrong place. Okay, anyway, let's actually remove it. Oh yes, we were... we should also wall in the other... Oh no, we have walled in the other side of that pump, that's fine. We were trying to convert all this area into brick walls rather than... clay ones, weren't we? Let's do some more of that. Yes, I think all of the wagons were parked on top of one another. Maybe I should make some efforts in improving our wagon parking. Like, I'd prefer to put the entrance to the fortress back where it was, yes. Oh, am I on top of the ducal demands for pampering? Not really. Let's see if we can improve on that. Maybe quite hard to do. Well, we've probably got some statues kicking around, haven't we? But the problem is the Duke demands so much furniture. Like, we need one more cabinet, an armour rack, a weapon stand, other way around, and a couple of chests. But like, their dining room is already completely full. There are no empty squares in their dining room. Suppose we could just expand it into one of the neighbouring rooms. So where's the Duke's? No, throne room. That's the Duke's throne room, right? That one does have two spaces spare. We could also extend that one southwards quite easily. So we could erect find the best armour rack we have available. Sorry, weapon rack we have available, if like they have quality at all, which it looks like that. Oh, that one did. And let's also try to put an armour stand in there. Really haven't got any good armour stands. Right, that probably won't make it good enough, but we can, yes, thank you. We can always extend that bedroom quite easily. That thing room. Right, let's find their bedroom. That's somewhere on this floor. Not that one. That one. Right, so that bedroom has plenty of room for 2 more chests in it. And we need a cabinet. You miss, no, you didn't miss the cabinet. We are actually out of cabinets. Possibly I should make rather more than one. You can always stick them in other people's bedrooms. Now manager on top of this. Oh, it looks good, yes. Right, that's that screw pump dismantled in its wrong location. See if I can get it right this time. I think I want to put it there. Yes, that looks good. Let us try to keep some of the water in the pumping system, though not enough of it yet. Did I allow the dwarves to collect all the stuff the humans left behind? I think so. I can't remember if the humans left much at all, but I think so. Oh, there was a pile of objects down here. There's a pile of crutches there and a broken wagon. So yes, I mean, we seem to have a pile of crutches that eventually need collecting, but it's not forbidden. Right, let us release the cats and dog from their cages. We do have a spectacular amount of stuff there, including some magnetite, which means that I think the minecart system is kind of functional. Whether it's any more efficient than just pushing things around in wheelbarrows, I'm not so sure, but have we got enough doors to fill in the rest of things yet? Do I actually need to request yet more doors? There's also the slight problem that half of the doors here appear to have random lumps of stone blocking them. It kind of occurs to me that actually I want this staircase to be able to drain into a sump that can be then pumped from so that this layer doesn't flood. So I think actually I want to extend that staircase down another layer, which is a bit silly, but whatever. Just so that the water can get down there. So what should we do about, let's remove all those cages now that they're empty. What should we do about this wagon parking situation? All right, I think this still has a cockatiel in it because we would have to work out how to get the cockatiel out. There is some way that cockatiels can be made, that like vermin creatures can be made into pets. The thing is, it probably doesn't appear on here because it's not, because it is vermin sized. So I think it's essentially an object. Well, let's, yeah, which means we can't even let it out. Well, we're removing all the other ones anyway. Damn it, where have I struck tetrahedrite? All right, in attempting to build a bit of extra sump, I have struck tetrahedrite. Well done. In that case, let's mine around the sump that we want. And then we'll wall it in. Have we got any grates? Yes, because I think I'm going to need some. What? Well, that's fine. No, it's fine to strike hematite now. We're just going to wall around the sump that we actually want down here for now. I think, which is that square there. This isn't right, is it? Let me work out what is right. What is right is not to do this. We want to separate the sump from the tunnels, which means that we want to actually put a hatch cover over that staircase there so that the water doesn't run down the staircase. Oh, do we have a artifact hatch cover? That's a nice object. So, as part of fix up the entrance to the fortress task, let us remove that floor there. Let's just ponder how we're going to fix this area. So, if our problem is that the entrance is actually too close and thus people keep passing through the wagon while it's being unloaded, we should probably move the trade depot so that it is not over, it is not too close to the hatch cover, to the hatch rather. Right, let us put that artifact hatch in there, because then no building destroyer will be able to destroy it. So that would, I think I should thus move the trade depot away from there, and it's probably safe. I mean, if we floor over there, then we can just shift it this way a bit. It'll be clear of the stink pipe. And like, it will be close to all the other stuff we're doing. So, second attempt at demolishing the trade depot. We've already demolished it once because I thought it was in the wrong place. The Duke has demanded the construction of certain goods, have they? Oh, did we accidentally export a... Oh no, you demand picks and bins, right? No, that one was meant to be 3. We have plenty of bins because we aren't allowed to export them. Have we got a cabinet yet? No, I never worked out quite why someone was tied up. It's usually because we've had some unfortunate incident of people wanting of mandates being unfulfilled. So then once we have a floor hatch there, then water coming down the staircase won't keep going down the stairs, and we can instead divert it sideways to there. We apparently have some problems with our beekeeping system. I've not tried to interrogate any merchants. Okay, I don't quite know what's going on with the collect hive products situation. Is someone splitting the hives at the same time as someone else is collecting them? Right, so now we could make a hole in the floor here. Install a grate in that hole. Here we only appear to have one grate in stock. Let's make some more grates. Because I want not to end up with too many objects in the sump. Just use the stone we've got down here rather than trying to be clever. I don't think animals, for the most part, wear clothes in Dwarf Fortress. Right, so that is below that hatch. We may have to accept that we're going to lose some ore while... hang on, if I make this sump entirely enclosed by walls, I can't sensibly let any water into it. That's not going to work very well. Stoat face. I think we have to accept that we're not going to be able to do this with perfect non-wastage of minerals. Right, so your furniture requirements are satisfied, but your room requirements still aren't, and we've basically filled all of your rooms while trying to satisfy your furniture requirements. Well, I say basically, that one still doesn't actually have that square filled. So if we were to attempt to place another statue in it, and that might be sufficient. That one, on the other hand, we're probably going to want to enlarge into the next bedroom in order just to make enough space. Let's just lay a nice porcelain floor while we're here. Which reminds me, there's a bunch of bedrooms down here that don't have any walls. Fix that. Oh, some slightly unfortunate lumps of stone in these. Actually, what I could do in the pumping system is make myself a bit more space and then just build spurious walls that use up the spare stone that's in inconvenient places. Like we've got stone blocking all of these doorways, which is not going to work well. We do have a hive problem, but I don't want to try to work that one out yet. No, 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 I didn't mean floor. No, don't. I didn't want you to construct vast amounts of... Oh, that's nice. If you mark a thing that hasn't yet been constructed for removal, it just doesn't get constructed. Right, yeah, I'd like to tidy up this mess of stone in bad places. Which I think can sensibly be done just by building walls out of it, which we can then demolish later. As long as the walls consume more stone than we make by digging out the space. Then that should clear all of the stone from the places we don't want it. So that one, we want to build some out of... Let's build some out of the nearby siltstone. Actually, no, we want to temporarily mark hematite as available for building with. Does this work? Seems to, clicking on things appears to scroll the list rather than allowing me to select an element of it, which is confusing because I've definitely used this menu before. Well, that's unhelpful. That's weird. Oops, wrong button. Well, maybe that hematite is just going to be stuck in that pump then. It'll be fine. Actually, I have a further plan. I think we should install a floodgate there to be operated by a lever outside so that we can shut off the water supply to the pumps if necessary. Is that useful? Is that useful? It might be useful. Let's make it an option. Once we've filled the sump with stuff, we won't be able to do it anymore, so. Is it worth mining that? Sorry, we'll do it. So are you now reasonably happy about mandates? Yes. And your throne room is up to an acceptable standard. Your bedroom has 1 square free, so let's stick a statue in that. That room is completely full though, so just remove that bed with apologies to its owner. Remove that wall. Construct a dummy siltstone wall there. Right, so now we could stick a lever out here. We shouldn't end up flooding this room. Yeah, let's not put it all the way down there though. And then we connect that lever to that floodgate. Yes, we should stop soon, but I'd like to get this into a state where I can understand what's going on. Right, we've demolished the old trading post. So let's build a new one. I can remember where it is in the list. Obviously not furniture. Could in theory be a workshop, but because almost everything's... Oh no, it's there. It's a special thing of its own. Right, so we want it to be 4 squares north of the... 4 squares clear of anything, I think, to be on the safe side. So there's 4 squares now between it and the stink pipe. Though there is the goblin cage there. Let's move it. So out here it is in the middle of some open space. I don't think anything can get in the way here. It's going to be a little bit of a pain to get things to, but that's probably... We'll make it out of bauxite again for red. Right. Not sure if this is... I'm still a bit uncertain whether I'm building this drain system correctly. But we'll see. Right, so I think that's like... Oh, right, we've already finished constructing the new trade depot. That still needs to be linked, but aside from that, I think we have more or less got this as good as we're going to get it. And that's now linked up. So now, if we want to, we can pull that lever and that should open that floodgate. And then I can work out how on earth someone is scheduled to pull the lever. Who's pulling the lever? A random 7-year-old child, apparently. It is quite a long walk to that lever. Right, and the floodgate is opened. Excellent. So then we can dig out a little and construct some drains which we can then connect up. To higher layers where we might want the water to come down from. Right, I'm not going to attempt that now. I think we have the pump stack in place. I think the pump stack is correctly assembled. So I think what we want to do now is to start letting water into it and seeing if it gets correctly pumped out again. And if it doesn't, we shut that floodgate and attempt to fix whatever the problem is. But that is very much not a job for now. That is a job for the next session, when we will try to get the pumps working. Maybe find that we've managed to put our trade depot somewhere where it works properly. And generally try to improve matters again. We have struck limonite. That's nice. Well, we'll go in search of some limonite next time. So until then, good night.